I'm an emergency medical dispatcher, which basically means if you call 999 with an emergency and need an ambulance, there's a chance it'll go to me. It's a rewarding, if not stressful, job, and some of the calls I've handled give me nightmares. But I wouldn't change my job. However, some of my hours are extremely unsociable, and sometimes I get home at 4 a.m, and when I do, I have a routine. When I get home at 4 a.m, I'll quickly change, then go for an hour-long jog while I listen to a podcast. This jog by 5 a.m. will take me to my boyfriend's bakery, where we'll share breakfast for him and dinner for me. On the days I work this kind of shift, it's the only time we can see each other. I then help him set up a little before heading back home and sleeping. All in all, nothing abnormal ever happens, but a new neighbour recently moved into my cul-de-sac, a woman in her late 30s or early 40s. I'm not sure. I don't know my neighbours that well as I can't often socialise with them due to my work hours. However, during one of my recent jogs, I paused on my way out of the cul-de-sac on the pavement near her home to pick out a podcast on my phone, only to have her come out shouting at me about what am I doing near her home and how I better go before she calls the police. I quickly apologised to her and explained I was her neighbour just out for a jog. She didn't believe me, so in sight of her I had to go unlock my front door to prove to her yes, I lived here as she kept shouting about the police. After this, she stopped and retreated back into her home, so I continued my jog. Except she was watching me the next time I jogged, and the next, and the next. Each time she called out vague threats about the police and how I shouldn't be out at this time and how I was scaring her children always being out at this time. Now, I admit I'd finally had enough of this and laughed at her because I'm a 5-foot-tall woman who looks like a solid breeze would blow me over. I also told her to mind her own damn business and how she only seems like the weirdo here, always watching me go for a jog at this hour. I also told her if she called 999 to say hi to my co-workers for me. I'm not proud of how I lost my temper, but it's getting to me how she's always doing this. It wasn't until my boyfriend suggested over our shared meal that day that maybe she just had anxiety and seeing someone outside so early put her on edge and she was handling it poorly. I admit I felt guilty. After that, I thought me jogging for an hour after my shift was harmless, but I'm used to being up at weird hours. Am I the idiot for jogging at this time? Would it freak you out if one of your neighbours did this? Not the idiot. Having explained your job and routine, it would not freak me out to see you out jogging at 4 a.m. What would freak me out is knowing my neighbour is up at 4 a.m. being the neighbourhood busybody and watching folks. That's weird. Not only that, but her kids are up and looking out of the window because how else would they even know she was there to be scared unless their crazy mom wakes them up because she's yelling like a madman. If she has anxiety so bad that she's going to scream at strangers for existing, she needs to stay inside. It's not appropriate or reasonable to expect someone not to jog outside because you have anxiety. Plenty of people must manage their crap. So if the issue is anxiety, the easy fix is for her to stop watching joggers. Not the idiot. I mean, it's not even that weird of a time to go jogging. I'm often out at 4:30 or 5 a.m. walking my dog, and I see joggers though I live in a big city. You're being harassed for no reason. Even if she has anxiety, that's no reason to harass you. If it only happened once, I might go over during normal hours to introduce myself and explain, but now it's happened more than once, I would not. She does not seem stable. I'm here because my family won't even talk to me right now. My own mother is disgusted by the sight of me and says I'm going to the bad place unless I take my wife back. I come from a very Christian upbringing. I met my wife at church. We were young. I was 21, she was 19. We got married after a fairly brief courtship. We waited until we were married before sleeping together. She's the only person with whom I've had intimacy. My wife was very slim and attractive when we got married. Everyone loves her, she's a great person. Funny, smart, successful, interesting. But I'm a fit person. I'm a PE teacher, and I exercise and play sport basically every day. I've never had a weight issue, and I'm pretty much the same size as when we met. A year or two into marriage, things were great, but we wondered why she wasn't pregnant, so we went for some medical advice. This was when things got bad. The doctors couldn't find anything wrong with either of us and said to keep trying. My wife was a bit depressed around this time and started telling people she had gynae issues. Time went on and she started putting on weight. I was okay with this. I still loved her a lot and was still attracted to her with a bit of extra weight. 10 years went by, and in those 10 years she got really fat. Like so fat she can't fit on rides. She's barely recognizable as the same woman I married. She's also been diagnosed with chronic pain, fibromyalgia, and has had several hernias. I didn't really know what to do watching her gain all this weight. She blames it all on a health condition, so we spent a lot of time and money on various treatments and therapies, none of which appeared to work. The dream of having kids was off the table, and she wasn't interested in adoption or fostering. I was okay with not having kids, I just wanted her to be healthy and well. Our families were behind us, and everyone praised me a lot in church for trusting God with her health issues, etc. After 10 years of marriage, we started going to therapy. I was basically miserable. I'm not attracted to my wife anymore, and I'm embarrassed and ashamed. Every therapy session was me sounding like a complete idiot while she sobbed. We've been to therapy regularly for the last 5 years, and I've tried everything to help her lose weight. She lies to me about her food intake, she won't exercise, nothing. I finally got up the guts to move out, and I served her with divorce papers. My whole family is on her side. They're saying marriage is for life, and I've gone against God. I'm starting to doubt myself. Should I have tried harder to help her lose weight, or just accept these are her health issues and there's nothing she can do? I feel awful right now. No idiots here for both you and your wife. You're allowed to divorce for whatever reason you want, and if you've really been trying for years to help her and it isn't working, then it might be time to end it. I feel bad for your wife. She sounds like a good person with a lot of issues, but ultimately you have to look out for yourself. On the other hand, your family sounds like a bunch of religious zealot idiots. Screw what they think. You are not the idiot, OP, because I don't think it's just her weight. It's her reluctance to do anything about it that bothers you. To me, it sounds like your wife may suffer from depression. Especially if she grew up Christian, she might feel like she failed at what she may perceive to be her main purpose in life, having children. If you claim you're a Christian, what happened to in sickness and in health? You are the idiot for claiming you have a set of beliefs that you felt strongly about but decided to go back on once it's convenient for you. Also, you literally never had to tell anyone it was because of her weight. You could have made up any other reason. I have a son, a young teen. Early on, it was clear that my ex and I had different visions for his future. My son was exceptionally bright from a young age, and I wanted to take full advantage of that, while my ex said that he would get burned out if I pushed him too hard, and we should take a more laid-back approach. So I had him studying for hours every day, participating in extracurriculars, and generally doing whatever was good for his future. Meanwhile, my ex would have him do pretty much whatever he wanted on weekends. I decided he didn't need time for video games during the week since he was getting it on the weekends anyway. When my son was younger, he never seemed to complain about this. However, he's become a lot more rebellious in the last school year, demanding screen time, later bedtimes, etc. I tried to double down when it was clear that he would keep demanding more and more. Finally, he threatened to fail all his classes if I didn't give in and brought home a failed math test to wave in my face after I tried to call his bluff. I saw no other option, so I continued to concede, thinking that might be the end of it, but he kept demanding more and more. His screen time went from none to an hour a day to the point where I could barely get him to agree to 1 hour of non-screen time a day. His bedtime went from 9 p.m. to midnight to the point where I now have to beg him to go to sleep at 3 a.m. I've been getting calls from his teachers saying that he's been sleeping in class and missing homework. I keep begging him to change his ways, but he says that he's just being a normal kid and threatens to fail his tests again whenever I try to enforce anything on him. A few days ago, second quarter report cards came in, and where he had previously had only A's, he now had B's and C's all over his report card. I showed it to him and said he needed to change, but he said that B's and C's aren't even bad grades and that he was fine. I asked why he wanted to get B's and C's when he could get A's, and he said, "Because you took my childhood from me, and I want it back." I called my ex and begged him to step in. He smugly asked what happened to do my own thing, and he sounded like he was trying not to laugh. I snapped and called him an idiot for using our child's future to say, "I told you so." He then said in a more serious tone that he wished he could help, but that I had to fix my own mess, and then hung up. I then called my parents to get some support and explain the situation. I expected them to tell me I was right, but they actually said they'd always disagreed with my parenting style but didn't want to comment since I always became angry and defensive. They then said my ex was right, at which point I hung up and went to sleep. I expected my ex to act the way he did, but my parents siding with random strangers over their own flesh and blood hurt me. Well, if it isn't the consequences of your own actions. So, you tried to helicopter parent, it backfired, and now you're mad at the people who told you it would. You are the idiot. There's a difference between encouraging academic performance and holding your kid hostage. You are the idiot. You did make this mess yourself. It sounds like Dad's place on the weekend was the only time he could be a kid. There's nothing wrong with encouraging a gifted child, but forcing them will do exactly what happened. He burned out. He's tired of just everything for school to please you and do what is best for what you see in his future. Dad didn't make him lazy. He got tired of his mom not letting him be a kid, so he's rebelling. Your parents are not siding with your ex, they're siding with your son. They thought you were too harsh on him. You didn't allow your child to have a childhood. You need to take a breath and apologize to your son. You need to say to him that you now know that you failed him and that you want to fix your relationship, not him, and it would help if you found a therapist or something to help you with this, so that your son learns to trust you. But maybe it's not too late. Pretty much, my mom told my dad she met someone else and wanted a divorce. My dad told me the reason for the divorce, even though my mom didn't want him to. He hasn't encouraged me to be mean or anything to my stepdad, but didn't want my mom trying to lie about the divorce or anything and wanted me to know the truth. This was around a year ago. My stepdad is a nice guy, like he tries to talk to me all the time, asks me what I want for dinner or something if he's making it, offers to help me with homework if he notices that I'm struggling, etc. Usually I'll ignore him or give really short answers that don't give room to keep talking, or at dinner I would really obviously go on my phone every time my stepdad started talking. Honestly, if it were not for the fact that he had an affair with my mom, I would have no problem talking to him. My mom told me yesterday that my stepdad has been upset recently because of my behaviour towards him. I told him that I don't care if he's upset, and if anything, I'm glad he's upset. Then my mom started crying and said she just wanted to make this work, etc. Am I the idiot? Your mother was the one who was married to your father but chose to break her marriage vows, yet you seem to be talking to her. Why are you holding your stepfather to a higher standard? They're both to blame, but she deserves the most blame, like she cheated knowing it would destroy the family. Not the idiot. They are delusional if they think you're going to be super cool with this barely a year in. As long as you aren't making life difficult, there's not much they can do. Some kids don't get along with their bio parents, let alone step-parents. Can you live with your dad full-time? You are the idiot. Your stepdad didn't steal your mom away from your dad. Your mom made a choice. She met someone and decided she wanted to be with him instead. It's not his fault a married woman fell in love with him. He may not be 100% innocent, don't get me wrong, but it takes two, and your mom was open to other options. So why are you taking it out on him? He's trying to do right by you.